Morning, children. Thanks for coming along and joining me this morning. So we're going to continue with our series of people who encountered Jesus. That's people who met with Jesus. And we're going to be looking at the story today of Zacchaeus the tax collector. We're going to be looking at how sometimes something that seems worth nothing is actually worth a lot. And do you remember we were talking about that old violin that was found in the back of a skip? It's a true life story of somebody in Texas in America. They were driving along one day, saw an old skip and saw something poking out of it. And when they went and had a look, there was this tatty old violin that somebody had just chucked out as a bit of rubbish. And they thought, actually, let's take that home because we could use the parts to mend one of our cheap new ones we've got at home that are broken. So they take this violin home, and then once they got it home, they looked at it and thought, before we break it up, let's go and take it to somebody to get it valued. So they took this old violin along, and they found out that this violin had been put together and made in 1933, and it was not worth nothing. It was worth over £38,000. So on the outward appearance, it looked like rubbish, but actually it was worth a lot. So we're going to look now at the story of Zacchaeus, who wasn't liked. Tax collectors weren't liked. So let's have a look at the story and then we'll come back together afterwards.
Jesus met many people and did amazing things during his 3 years of ministry. One time, he met a small man with a big name. His name was Zacchaeus, and there are two things you should know about him. First, he was rich. Second, he was short. Zacchaeus was rich because he cheated by taking more tax money from people than he was supposed to. For that reason, just about everybody disliked Zacchaeus. As Jesus was teaching, many came to listen to him speak. Zacchaeus really wanted to see him too. He had heard of all the amazing things Jesus had done. The streets were filled with people, and Zacchaeus' curiosity grew stronger by the minute. Zacchaeus tried to get a good spot, but he was too short to see from behind the crowds. No matter how hard he pushed or how high he jumped, he couldn't even get a glimpse of Jesus. The crowds were too many, and the people were too tall. Finally, Zacchaeus found a solution. He ran ahead to where Jesus would eventually pass by, found a big sycamore tree, and climbed it. But then Zacchaeus got nervous. Jesus was coming right towards him. Here he was, sitting in a tree like a trapped cat, and Jesus was coming to look at him. Sure enough, Jesus stopped at the bottom of the sycamore tree and looked up at Zacchaeus. Jesus smiled at Zacchaeus and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." Imagine Zacchaeus' surprise when he heard that. Jesus was coming to his house. Zacchaeus scrambled down the tree and showed Jesus the way to his house. He was so excited. The bystanders, and especially some of the religious leaders, were shocked. How could this Jesus, who was a teacher of the law, go and eat with a sinner like Zacchaeus? They murmured. The religious leaders were right. Jesus did eat with a sinner. He visited Zacchaeus to teach him the truth and show him how to obey and serve God. Some of the religious leaders cared more about their own reputation than showing God's love to people around them. Zacchaeus knew that he had sinned by stealing money from people. He felt deep sorrow and regret. After receiving Jesus' love and forgiveness, he told Jesus, "Look, I'm giving half of everything I own to the poor people. And for all the money that I've cheated people of, I'll give them back 4 times as much." Jesus forgave Zacchaeus' sin. He said, "Today, salvation has come to your house." That day, Jesus showed God's love to Zacchaeus, and it changed him. There is nothing more powerful than Christ's love.
So I hope you enjoyed that story, that little video. I really like that story. It makes you realise that some times when we look at some people or even ourselves and we think we're really not worth very much, that God sees something very, very different. Nobody liked Zacchaeus. He fiddled people. He would charge people a lot of money for their taxes. And actually, he would give some to the Romans, but he'd pocket the rest, which meant he was stealing from them, wasn't it? So people hated him. To them, he was the lowest of the low. But in that story, we see how Zacchaeus heard about Jesus and desperately wanted to see him. He was too short, wasn't he, to see over the crowds. He was jumping up and down trying to see him, sees that tree at the end, jumps up the sycamore tree, looking down, and not only did Jesus walk past, but Jesus looked up at him and he called him by name and said, "Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house for dinner." Oh, imagine how he felt then. And they went in there. God saw his heart. God saw that he was worth more than everybody else saw. And when Zacchaeus heard that, and when he spoke to Jesus, he knew that his sins were forgiven, and he became a Christian on that day. He put his hope and his trust in Jesus, and because he knew that what God saw was something much more than what the world saw. So a lovely story there. So, have you all listened carefully? Let's try. So, what was his profession? What was Zacchaeus' job? Yep, I think you all got that one. He was a tax collector. Why did he have to climb the tree? Yes, he was too short. There were crowds and crowds, weren't they, waiting to see Jesus, and he was jumping up and down. Luckily, he saw the tree and jumped up the tree. Okay, why did he cheat the people? What did he do to cheat the people? Yes, he'd overcharged them the taxes. It was bad enough that the Romans made them pay taxes, but he, who was one of them, he's one of the Jews, he also put his taxes on. So he did cheat the people and he was not liked at all. So well done for listening this morning. And I'm glad that you've joined me. And we're going to look now at, no we're not, we're going to join now our worship time. So what I want you to do is push your tables out of your lounge and turn the television up or your computer, and let's sing and worship God together. And I'll see you afterwards.
Blessed be your name.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and thanks for that lovely worship time together. So we're coming to the end of our morning. I just want to encourage you all. I know you've had your first week back from your half term, and I know things can be tough having to do Zoom school and things, but I just want to encourage you this week to know that God is with you every single day, and also to encourage you to join our Zoom calls, because after church in the morning we meet small groups of you, and you meet your teachers again, you meet some of the guys in your classes, and you just Zoom in, and then it's only quick, 20 minutes or so, just for a catch up, have a bit of fun. So if you don't know how to do it, speak to your parents and they can contact the church. Pastor William will give them all the details of how to Zoom in and meet us. So I pray for each one of you this week that you'll have a blessed week. I'm going to remind you of the memory verse that you can think about this week. And the memory verse is from Luke 19, and it says, "For the Son of Man," who is Jesus, "came to seek and save the lost." So that's what Jesus' job was, wasn't it? To come and seek and save the lost, like Zacchaeus, a lost man, and Jesus found him. So God bless you all, and I'll see you later, those who are Zooming, and the rest of you have a blessed week. Bye.